Yo, and hello, everybody. Mike here, baseball collector. Happy Monday to you. Hope your week is off to a good start. So this video is going to be a lot of me talking about some things that I usually don't talk about, but I think it's important in today's environment and in today's hobby. And I will say at the jump, there is an irrational exuberance within the hobby that simply cannot continue. And I want to explain why. The main reason I don't talk about this stuff normally is because in my job as a financial planner, I don't want to be construed as giving any investment advice. And that is certainly not what this is. What this is my observations, meeting my experience, and drawing some reasonable conclusions from that. And so the economics of this hobby are on an unsustainable path. And when I started as a financial planner 30 years ago, we were in the dot-com bubble, and then I went through 9/11, the global financial crisis, 08, 09, COVID, you name it, been through a lot of different things. And usually what you see, the pattern is that irrational exuberance in any market, whether it's the stock market or cryptocurrency or whatever, leads to bad emotional decisions. You see, we're all emotional about our money, and we're really emotional about our hobby. We don't like people to tell us what to do. We don't like to be wrong. And so we end up having things like FOMO and, just I want it now, right? That mentality. And to think that anything involving money, including our hobby, is not emotional is naive, because we are emotional beings, and therefore our emotions can get the better of us. They can take over our rational brain, and we will make decisions that we normally wouldn't make in and of itself. So I try to tell people, hey, let's make a decision about how we're going to handle something bad now when things aren't bad, so that when we get to the bad thing, we know what we're going to do. And so right now, I would say my stance has become, hey, let's just slow down a little bit on buying stuff. And it's not because I don't want to own more cards. I absolutely do. And if I see the right deal, it doesn't mean I won't buy more cards. It's not like I'm saying I'm on a buying hiatus. That's not true. But I'm being a lot more careful and a lot more cautious. And there's so much anecdotal evidence out there that points to this. This shouldn't come as a shock to anyone. This shouldn't be surprising. You should go, oh yeah, totally seeing it. Whether it's in the grading market and, ultra modern and cards that, are going for monies that make 0 cents whatsoever. In the vintage market, you're seeing that as well. When I look at my VCP as anecdotal evidence of card prices that have gone absolutely nuts, and I'm like, I wouldn't pay that today for that card. And I say that a lot as I'm looking through my VCP and looking at recent sales data of cards and what's been selling and for what dollar amounts. It's perplexing, and yet it's not surprising, because again, you get this emotional element into this. First of all, cards are a unique commodity, right? First of all, they're a commodity. They have zero intrinsic value whatsoever in and of themselves. So they're not worth anything other than what somebody else thinks it's worth. And then you tie in the fact that it's a luxury good, in so much that I don't have to own cards to live. Like, it's not like my collection provides anything other than joy and happiness. And the fact that cards can provide happiness, that's a whole nother discussion. But, it doesn't do anything for my life. It's not my income source. It's not anything. So, but when you have something that's like that, and then you have so many people in the hobby that is their income source, that they do trade cards for a living, or buy and sell cards for a living, or run a hobby shop, or print cards, or grade cards, they're going to pretty much do anything they can to make that market continue to improve in terms of just valuations, right? There's a vested interest in them to have card values go up. I don't have a vested interest in my cards going up. It's cool, but I want to buy more cards. So in fact, it actually sucks because cards are more expensive, cards I want to buy. And so the people that have the vested interest in the card values continuing to rise are combating with the people that, go, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to buy that at that price. But it only takes one. It only takes a few people. Collectively, we might all be rational thinkers and going, yeah, this market is a little bit overheated. My experience in the hobby of 40 years tells me, yeah, we're in a little bit of a bubble here. But it only takes a few to drive it up. It only takes a few people that don't think that way, a few people with less experience, a few people that simply don't care, really, and it can keep things kind of moving forward. It doesn't have to be a large percentage of the hobby population to move that in a certain way. So cards have never followed normal economics. And I may get in a little bit of the weeds here, but it's kind of this thought of basic supply and demand. My education is in economics. I'm an economist, so I think this way about how economies should work, how markets should work. And if you think about basic supply and demand, if you have 10 cards, XYZ player, all graded the same, Gem Mint 10s, let's say, Shohei Ohtani, Gem Mint 10. And you have 10 people that want it. In theory, one person should pay the most. The guy who's the underbidder should pay the next most, and so on and so forth. If you think about 52 mantle, everybody wants a 52 mantle. If you don't, I don't know what's wrong with you, but everybody should want a 52 mantle. It's just the most iconic card in the hobby. So you go, okay, I want a 52 mantle, and I'd want the highest grade possible. Whatever. Doesn't matter the grade. I want a 52 mantle. And so I'm willing to pay a certain price. If all 52 mantles were $1, we would all have one. Well, why aren't 52 mantles $1? And the answer is because there aren't enough of them to go around. You have a supply problem, not a demand problem. The demand is there for 52 mantles from everyone. If they were $1, and you start, I don't know if this is going to look right on the screen. I don't know which direction I need to point, but demand is, ever going down as the price goes up, right? So at $2, maybe some people say, well, I'd buy it at $1, but I won't buy it at $2. If it's at $100, you have even more people drop out of the market, and so on and so forth. As you increase price, people should theoretically be less inclined to buy it because of their ability to pay for it. And so you're going to see at some point, you're going to reach an equilibrium, right? Where this is true of any good widgets, right? Let's use widgets. At some point, the demand for widgets goes down. If the price you're going to raise the price until you find the equilibrium. And that's true of cards as well. It should be true of cards as well, but it seems to not be true of cards. A lot of the basic economic, realities don't apply to sports cards. And it's because they're just goofy. I wish I had a rational explanation as to why that is, but people tend to pay more, and it's like 52 mantles only go up, right? And it feels like that should start weeding more and more people out, so that at some point that price plateaus. There's only so many people that want to pay this amount, and you go, well, I have one, and all these people are gone. They've already bought their mantles. There should be just that person right below that would, okay, I wouldn't pay that, but I'll pay this, right? And that's where I sell my mantle. And then that takes that person off the mantle checklist, and then you go down to the next guy and the next guy. But that doesn't seem to be what's happening. It's irrational exuberance. And it never continues. It never goes in perpetuity. It never goes to the moon and never has a correction or a crash. Now, I am far from sitting here predicting that I think the sports card market is going to crash or any of that. I absolutely don't say that. What I am saying is that this can't continue forever. And what it looks like on the other end, anybody's guess. It could be a slow fizzle. It could be a major correction. Obviously, the U.S. economy matters. Believe it or not, there's a wealth effect. If we've seen the stock market do well, and if people feel wealthier because they're looking at their 401ks and now their 801ks, and they're super excited about seeing other assets that they have, whether it's real estate or whatever, going up, there's that wealth effect of I feel wealthier and therefore I feel like I can spend more. That's a reality. It's truth. And so the question becomes that what if that was affected by some type of economic downturn, and we will see a recession again. It's absolutely going to happen. I've been calling for it for a while, and I've been wrong in terms of the timing of it. But to think that there won't be another recession is just naive. There's a recency bias that we all have. And we think whatever's happened most recently will just continue to happen, that there won't be some change of that whatever is going on today will keep going. If we have great stock market prices today and increasing stock market, that'll just keep going. If cards keep going up, we expect that to just keep going. We have a major bias towards recency. Again, all these are psychology things. It's so funny that the hobby is so psychological, that when you think things are great, that things will only stay great. And that, again, cycles are normal. 3 steps forward, 1 step back. 3 steps forward, 1 step back. And nobody likes the step back because it's not fun, but it is part of it. Part of any normal, healthy economic cycle. I don't want things to go up forever. There needs to be a cooling down period, a slowdown, a reset, so to speak. That's healthy, to take a breather, to have a pause. Again, when that will happen, how long it will last, what does it look like? I haven't the foggiest idea. I couldn't tell you. I'm not trying to predict it. But I will predict that it will happen at some point, because that's how baseball go, as it was once said by Sammy Sosa. So I would tell you out there, if I was to just give my thoughts, better yet, I'll tell you what I'm thinking, and then you can think whatever you want. You're allowed to do that. We live in a free country. Think what you want. I'm kind of slowing down. I'm being a lot more careful about bigger purchases because I feel like this irrational exuberance has infected everything in the hobby. And therefore I'm going, okay, I can wait that out. The great thing about being a collector is the patience. Do I want it all now? Of course I want it all now. But my experience tells me to slow down, to chill out, and to say, okay, let's just wait this out. I want to be in the hobby for a really long time. What's happening today and tomorrow doesn't really move the needle for me in terms of, I don't need to buy something today to sell it tomorrow. I'm a collector. I want to accumulate this stuff. I want to curate this collection over the next couple of decades. And so I don't have to be in a hurry. I can be patient. I can afford to be patient. And I hope that will pay off for me. It's funny, I have these contradicting ideas of today's high prices or tomorrow's discounts. And I believe that to be true over time, but it may or may not be true over short periods of time. And I think that eventually cards go up in value, because I think all assets appreciate in value. I think you just have this As we continue to print, there's an economics behind that. More money in the system leads to just inflation, period. And cards inflate too, just like your milk does and your cars do and houses do and all of those things. But that's usually a slower process. Ideally, it's a slower process. That's probably a better way to say it. You don't want to see large price spikes in anything or price declines in anything. The slow burn is okay. The slow burn is sustainable. And what we're seeing now is simply unsustainable. You can't keep doing this. At some point, we all get priced out of everything. Even millionaires can't buy cards anymore at some point if they just keep going up and up and up. It just doesn't make any sense that it will keep doing that. It's rational that it won't keep doing that. And that's what I foresee at some point in the future. So I would love to hear your thoughts down below. I hope this wasn't just a completely rambling thing, but I did want to share my thoughts and let you guys know where my headspace was at and what I was thinking. So thanks everybody for watching. Talk to you soon. Keep collecting.